because we have a lot to go over. So we're still covering the shadow self, and today I'd like to talk more about forgiveness, and I'd like to talk about the light, how we project our light shadows onto others. So the shadow self must be revealed, okay? If we're ever going to be whole and complete, the shadow self must be revealed. If we're only accepting of half of who we are, how can we possibly live a full, whole life? We can't. We're just dealing with a sliver of ourselves, right? I was just reading an article by Robert Bly. He wrote the book, the little book of the shadow, Robert Bly, and he talks about the long black bag we drag behind us. And he said that, you know, we put so much in the bag, we get rid of so much of ourselves that we're carrying this huge black bag behind us, and then we go to the altar to get married, and there's just a sliver of us left. Not even a whole, like the two people together don't even make a whole human being, because we've discarded, we've disassociated from so many beautiful aspects of ourselves. So he calls it the long black bag we drag behind us. And all through elementary school and middle school and high school, that when we finally get to the point where we're ready to get married, there's only a sliver left. So if we're only accepting half of ourselves, half of who we are, not even half, right? How can we possibly live a full life? So the ego, you know, in its brilliance, convinced us to hide aspects of ourselves. It was the ego's job to keep us safe, and the ego felt it's safe if you hide aspects of yourself. All of us, right? So the same ego in me is the ego that's in you. It's the same exact ego. It operates the same way. So hidden in the dark recesses of our subconscious mind, there lies a whole other self. And that's what I want to talk about. So that self, that part of us that lies in the subconscious mind, that self completes us. And, you know, what we do is we walk around looking to the outer world for the rest of ourself. We're looking to the outer world to fulfill us. We're hoping we find in another person the rest of ourself. But no, we're in the black bag that we're dragging behind us. We'll never find the rest of ourself in the outer world, right? So all along, this part of us hides from our view. It's our shadow. It's behind us. We can't see it. We think, oh, we're going to find it in someone else, but we're not. We think nobody carries that part of us. Only we carry it, and it's within us. So the shadow is what we are looking for today. So everything we're looking for lies within us, in other words, okay? So we have to struggle against the egoic mind, right? Because the ego struggles to keep these parts hidden. And we're struggling to say, you know what? I want to be whole and complete. I need to see those parts of myself. But in order for the soul to evolve, all the parts have to be embraced. So when the ego personality surrenders to fully serve the energy of the soul, that, says Gary Zukav, is authentic empowerment. When the ego personality surrenders. So we got to get that ego to surrender, because it's like a pit bull, right? It holds on like a pit bull. It doesn't want to surrender. It thinks that it knows. But the truth is, it's keeping us, it thinks it's protecting us, but it's not. It's destroying us. It's really destroying us. That's what the ego does. It destroys us. So You know, the universe is always trying to show us who we are. And how does it do that? It mirrors us. And it's mirroring you to you all the time through other people, right? You're my mirror and I'm your mirror. So, you know, that person you're judging, that's you. They are mirroring to you the aspects of you that you cannot see, and they're doing you a favor. So that's where we find the gold. That's where we find the gold, in the mirror. We look in the mirror of the other person, the person we are judging. And your higher self will keep bringing you, in the form of triggers, these people, in order to heal you, in order to help you, in order for you to become whole, in order to show you you, right? So the hidden aspects, unintegrated, block us to the reality of who we truly are. So we have to surrender. We have to help the ego to surrender. So finding the gold in the dark is really a way of recognizing our full potential. Our full potential includes discovering our divine gifts, right? So if we don't feel worthy, we won't allow the universe to give us our gifts. If we don't feel worthy, we'll never recognize our full potential. So first I want to say, you know, we all have feelings of unworthiness, for one reason or another, right? So our parents projected their unworthiness, their fears onto us, and now we carry them deep down inside our unconscious mind. And this unworthiness is what stops us from fulfilling our true potential, because the ego has convinced us that we are unworthy, and we believe it. We believe that lie, because the ego thinks it's keeping us safe by letting us know how unworthy we are every single day. So don't even try to go out there. Don't put yourself out there. You know, don't level up. Don't go and, you know, conquer the world, because you're really not that great. You're unworthy. So the ego thinks it's keeping you safe by saying that, right? So we got to kind of partner up with the ego so we could say, you know what? I don't really need that protection anymore. We gotta realize the lies when we hear them, and we gotta realize what part of us is talking, what part of us the ego tells us lies about ourselves and our unworthiness, right? So it's not about not hearing the lies, it's about rising above the lies, realizing that we are worthy, we're born worthy, and we are capable of reaching our full potential. And your full potential is no different than anybody else's. We all have that ability. We have to stop listening to the lies that drive us to stay small, that limit us. Okay, I know this is really hard, right? So okay, now as an adult, we have a choice. We can choose to open our hearts and embrace ourselves, our full self, and we can choose not to live the lie of unworthiness. We can choose to authentic power, like Gary Zukav says. We can choose our authentic power, but the ego personality has to surrender and become aligned with the soul. So first and foremost, and what we're going to talk about tonight, is forgiveness. So first and foremost, you know, we have to forgive ourselves for all and everything that we've ever done in the past, done or not done in the past. We have to forgive ourselves. If we can't forgive ourselves, we can't forgive anybody. So I want to start this session off by talking about forgiveness of the self. You know, we're all racked with pain, embarrassment, humiliation of past mistakes we made, but we're human, right? And if we knew better, we would have done better. So believe that whatever you've done or whatever you've not done was the best you can do. And you have to give others that as well, okay? Because we're not perfect and others are not perfect, but they did the best that they could, right? So forgiveness is a choice that we have to make from the heart. And remember, you're not forgiving another for their benefit. You are forgiving another for your benefit, okay? You're forgiving them is for you. You have to realize that you're not doing anybody any favors by not forgiving, okay? Not forgiving is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. I don't know who said that, but it's a very famous line. Resentment and anger, hostility only leads to illness, okay? So right now, I would like you guys to take your pens out and your paper because this is going to be an interactive class. So take your pens and paper out. I'm just going to check in and see how many people are here. Okay. If you can all just grab a pen and a piece of paper, we're going to talk about forgiveness. Okay, so it's important for you to write this down. Why? Because in order to really release an energy like resentment or anger, we have to allow it to come out. Writing is very powerful. I know a lot of people don't like to write things down. They say, oh, I have it all up in my head, but we're not releasing energy if we're not somehow getting it out of us. So right now, make a list of people you need to forgive. And it could be a long list, it could be a short list, but just make a list of people you need to forgive, starting with yourself. Your name should be at the top of the list. And I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. In order to release the energy of resentment, you must acknowledge you have resentment, okay? Debbie Ford used to say, search around for stored up anger. She said, if you are fearful about discovering your anger, remember that your power, your gold, right? Your gold, your divinity is buried along with the anger. Anger is only a negative emotion when it is suppressed or dealt with in an unhealthy way. In and of itself, anger is not a bad thing. So underneath all of the anger, resentment, and hostility is your power. So you're doing yourself a favor. This is the gold. This is the gold that Carl Jung talked about, the gold in the dark. It's buried. It's buried underneath the anger. So make your list and be honest with yourself. You don't have to read it to me. I don't have to know what's going on over on your side of the world. Just make your list. No one has to see it. When you truly have compassion for others, when you truly have compassion for yourself, you'll have compassion for others. We treat others the way we treat ourselves. You will love your anger, and that will convert the anger. That love transmutes it to healthy anger. But you have to look at it first. You have to acknowledge that you're angry, right? So healthy anger comes with compassion, okay? Healthy anger is partnered with compassion. And it's compassion for the other and compassion for yourself. Compassion that the other didn't know better. Compassion that you didn't know better. Compassion that the other was doing the best that they could, even if their best sucked, okay? That was their best. If they knew better, they would do better. That's what Oprah says. She says, when you know better, you do better. And that's it. So you always hear me say, we have to allow others their unconsciousness. For you to find your gold, for you to find your divine gifts, for you to find your full potential, you must embrace and love the part of you that is holding on to anger. Your raging inner child was forced to suppress that anger. So that anger must be revealed with love and compassion. It's the only way. So part of when I was talking about Robert Bly and the black bag, that long black bag we drag behind us, there's a lot of anger in that bag because we weren't allowed as children to show healthy anger, or even show tantruming or anger, because that's how children learn healthy anger. We weren't given that opportunity, but the next generation will do that for their children. They'll know better. But we have to break the cycle together. Us, this generation, our generation, we have to break the generational pain, the generational patterns. Okay, our parents didn't know better, and we can just leave it at that. Really, I mean, they didn't know better, and we'll give them that, and we'll forgive them, and we will heal it for the next generation. Okay, heal it for your grandchildren. Think about that. So there's so many physical ailments associated with holding on to hostility. I'm just going to talk about Craig this week. He gave me permission to share this. His back has been killing him for weeks. And he's like, my back, my back, my back. And then his leg went numb. And not only did it go numb, but it also became painful, and the nerve endings were very sensitive. So he's been struggling. So yesterday we made the connection that there's an emotional issue connected to the back pain. All physical ailments are associated with holding on to something that we need to let go of. Okay, so in Craig's case, we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's hostility. Only he can go in and say, I'm suppressing emotions. What emotions am I suppressing? If you're sick, if you have a physical ailment, there's always an emotional connection to it, okay? A lot of you know this with IET. When I work on people, the top of the head is associated with guilt. I pull guilt out of the top of the head. The third eye chakra is associated with mistrust. And as I pull mistrust out, I'm putting in trust. I'm putting innocence in the top of the head. Threat is stored at the back of the neck. The antidote for threat is support. The throat chakra is shame. Okay, anything with the throat chakra, you're carrying shame. And the antidote for shame is spiritual pride. The heart chakra carries, of course, heartache and betrayal. And the antidote is love. Okay, the solar plexus carry helplessness, anxiety, stress, and the antidote is ease. The abdomen, okay, the gallbladder, all of that carries, what does that carry? All right, I'll think of it. The kidneys carry fear, and the antidote for that is safety. And okay, the liver, okay, so this is what we're talking about today. The liver and the spleen. So the spleen carries resentment, the liver carries anger. Okay, so I'm always pulling out anger and resentment, anger and resentment. And the antidote for that is, guess what? Forgiveness. So whatever it is. So the lower back would be associated with fear. With the kidneys, the lower back, there's fear. There's some fear. We don't know what the fear is, but it's a lifetime of suppressing our emotions. And physical ailments associated to hostility are heart disease, stroke, weakening of the immune system, making the person more susceptible to colds, flus, infections. It's also been associated with anxiety and depression. Suppressing anger and not resolving issues can cause a person to fixate on specific triggers, right? And this could lead to higher incidence of depression, right? Because you're ruminating. You're triggered by one person or two people, and that's all you're thinking about all day long, okay? So then, of course, you're going to be depressed. It's also associated with carrying extra weight around, right? So that unworthiness, the lacking of success, not being able to make enough money, not being able to fulfill your dreams. If we don't have everything we desire, it's because we're withholding it from ourselves. And we're holding on to something we don't need to be holding on to. And that would be rage, anger, hostility, and non-forgiveness. So that's why this is all associated with the shadow. Okay, and suppressing your anger. So let's start with acknowledging. It's so important that we love and honor the part of ourselves that is angry, that is bitter, that is resentful towards another person. Our anger might be trying to send us a message, right? And if we don't listen to the emotional message, it will come out in a physical manifestation. So the message, when it comes out emotionally, we really have to pay attention to us. This is where journaling is so important. This is why I asked you to bring, a pen and a paper to this session so that you can get it out of you. The message is very important, and sometimes it carries a very special gift, right? Think of all the energy that it takes to hold down rage, or hold down emotions, or hold down resentment. If some people don't even admit to it, they don't even know they have it. So forgive yourself for your angry feelings and make a list of everyone you're angry with. Then release the anger in a healthy way. And anger can be released in so many healthy ways, right? Anger release work, you can look it up. A great way to release pent up energy. I listened to a podcast a while ago, Christiane Northrup. She would say, this is what she would do. She would take a dish towel and, not for a long period of time, but just for 2 or 3 minutes, she would snap the dish towel on the cabinet or the countertop, and she would say, "I hate it when you," and whatever it was that she wouldn't say she hates the person, she would say, "I hate it when you," and then she would snap it. So I know she went through a very difficult divorce and she's had some hard times. So she said that has helped her in her life. I hate it when you, and you snap the towel, because it releases that energy. If something or someone in the past keeps triggering angry thoughts and memories, consider using a symbolic ceremony to help you let go of the anger. One way of doing this is you can take a crystal or a rock in your hand, and you can hold it in your hand. And if you're next to a body of water, you can ask the crystal or the rock to take your anger from you. And then this way you could, thank it for taking the anger from you, and then imagine all your anger and resentment going into a rock or a crystal, and it's being transferred. And then when you're ready, you throw it in the river or throw it in the lake with a lot of energy, as hard as you possibly can, and you watch the rock disappear into the water. So exercise, running, jogging, even walking, lifting weights, yoga. I do yin yoga, which is amazing for releasing. Many yogas are great, but yin yoga, I believe, is a healing modality in and of itself. And I just did it on Monday night. And every time I do it, I release something. Something comes up to be healed. And it's not a release where you're struggling. It's just a beautiful letting go, okay? Kickboxing is good. Focused breathing, right? Focusing on your breath, focused relaxation, bringing your conscious mind into your body. Meditation calms anger. You can get these beautiful calming apps for your smartphone. There's websites that offer guided meditations to calm the nerves. Journaling. I'm a big proponent of journaling, writing down your thoughts, writing down your emotions on paper. It gets them out of your head. You don't want those thoughts, negative thoughts going on day after day after day, right? So writing everything down puts things in perspective, right? Sometimes you could see the bigger picture. You can say, why is this happening? What is the message? What is the lesson here? Writing helps you to organize your thoughts, and it provides insight. When you're writing, you're connected, you're channeling, you're connected to spirit, so you'll gain insight. So when you write, don't focus on the negative or that adversity of the situation. Try to reframe the situation or brainstorm solutions. When we reframe, we realize everything has a higher purpose. Everything happens for a reason, for our good, for the good of the evolution of our soul. So we have to reframe situations to embrace a different perspective of the situation. So, okay, I would like to do an exercise with you guys if you're ready. I'm just going to check in. Everybody have their list? Beautiful. If you have any questions, you could text me or just type in the chat box. Okay, so our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, right? What is your inner world reflecting back to you? Write that down right now. Whatever your outer world is reflecting back to you, that's what's going on inside of you. It's one of the universal laws. The outer world is a reflection of our inner world. If your outer world is chaotic, guess what? You have work to do. If your outer world is, if somebody's harming you, taking revenge out on you, maybe you're harming yourself inside with your own words. Maybe your inner self-talk is harming you, okay? If you're constantly in victim mode, if you're constantly in victim mentality, where are you making yourself a victim with your inner dialogue to yourself, okay? So what's being reflected to you from your outer world? If you love and care and appreciate and nurture yourself, this is what you will see reflected back to you from others. So why do we project our best qualities on others? Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit of how we give away our greatness and how we limit ourselves. We give away the best qualities we have, our positive qualities. We project our darkness as well, but we also project our light. And tonight I want to talk about the light a little bit. These positive qualities tend to conflict with our conscious identity. So just take that in. Our positive qualities conflict with our identity, right? We grew up with an identity. I talk about this all the time. We grow up with masks. We wear masks, right? We play roles. And then we identify with those masks, with those roles. And sometimes the qualities, our divine qualities that will help us fulfill our full potential, are in conflict with our conscious identity, okay? So for example, maybe you have a natural confidence, right? Or intelligence, or a big caring heart, right? These qualities might conflict with your current behavior, which of course was programmed into you, was conditioned into you by your environment growing up. So this is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, when something within us is in conflict, okay? Our big heart, our generous heart is in conflict with maybe a part of us that grew up thinking the world is not a safe place. You are not safe in the world. There's going to be a cognitive dissonance there. And the mind doesn't like this confusion. You know, the mind really doesn't know what to do with the positive qualities or how you can relate to them. So when we don't know how to bring these positive qualities back into, to integrate them into us, our mind is left with one option. We have to project them onto others, okay? And that's what we do. So it's a defense mechanism, right? It's the ego's way of protecting us once again. You know, we do it to keep safe, to stay in the safe place, okay? I always say the ego's job is to keep you safe, help you survive, or help you stay stuck, in other words. So safe to the ego is stuck. Remember that. If you feel stuck, it's because your ego's protecting you, thinking it's doing you this great favor, okay? This is where, when we have to partner up with our ego and say, I'm good. Don't protect me in this situation. I'm really good. I don't need your help. So how do we reclaim our projections when we're projecting onto other people, right? Good and bad, the good and the bad. We project the good and the bad. So, you know, often owning these qualities is a huge responsibility for us because, right? If we own our greatness, what will be expected of us? Think about that. That's scary to the ego, right? It brings up a lot of fear. Oh, if I own my greatness, wow, then what? What am I going to, I'm going to have to do something with it, right? It comes with responsibility. That is a scary thing to the ego. So it says, you know what? I prefer you stay small. I prefer you stay stuck in your little groove of safeness. And this is the reason why we project our positive aspects, our light, our gifts onto other people. Okay? We don't have to put ourselves out there. Ego doesn't want to do that. The ego's job is to keep you safe. The ego's job is to keep you limited. The ego's job is to keep you stuck. So in an attempt not to terrify you, basically it keeps all of your light qualities in that black bag, right? In the same black bag with all the dark qualities, they're all in there together. So what that creates, what the ego creates within you is called a fixed mindset. And with a fixed mindset, research on success shows that we hold either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, okay? And with a fixed mindset, we believe our intelligence and our gifts and our abilities are static. In other words, they are or they're not. They're kind of black and white. If they're not here now, if I don't see them, they're not here. I don't have them. So it's static. It's just black and white, right? This leads to a desire to you have a desire for these gifts, this, you know, your brilliance, your light, you have a desire for it, but you have a tendency to feel threatened by it and threatened by those who have it if you don't. In contrast, there's a growth mindset, okay? And we understand that intelligence and gifts and abilities are always being developed within us. We always have the capability for them, and they're always being developed within us. That is called a growth mindset. So right now, write it down. Are you in a fixed mindset or are you in a growth mindset? Okay. So this leads to a desire to learn, and the growth mindset leads to a desire to learn and a tenacity to find lessons and inspirations in the success of others, right? So I'm always looking for role models that I can aspire, that can help me aspire to my greatest potential. So I'm always looking up to beautiful role models that can help me become who I am meant to be in this lifetime. With a growth mindset, you're destined to actualize more and more and more of your latent potential, right? Because what I'm capable of today is nothing compared to what I'll be capable of in 10 years, right? So that growth mindset gives you a greater sense of free will. You have the ability to do anything you set your mind to. With a fixed mindset, you will plateau early in life and you will abort. You will abort your self-actualization right then and there. So it's so easy to switch to another mindset, right? We don't have to stay in a fixed mindset. If you are recognizing that possibly you may be, maybe you've plateaued, maybe you've aborted, well, it's not too late. You can shift, right? Oprah said, when you know better, you do better. So with a fixed mindset, you will always project your potential, okay, onto others. And you will never put forth the actualization of it for yourself. You will never actualize it for yourself. So with a fixed mindset, you envy the success of others. With growth mindset, the success of others teaches you, inspires you to realize more of your true potential. It's so beautiful, right? Aren't you glad you know that now? It opens up millions of doors for you. Only with a growth mindset can you reclaim everything from the bag that you're holding behind you. I want to read something to you that you guys will appreciate. So this is called Meeting the Shadow, but there's another book that Robert Bly has. This book has all different authors in it, right? Regarding the shadow. Robert Bly has a book, but he's one of the contributing authors in this book. And he says, when we were 1 or 2 years old, we had what we might visualize a 360-degree personality. Energy radiated from all parts of our body and all parts of our psyche. A child is a living globe of energy, he says. We had a ball of energy, right? But one day we noticed that our parents didn't like certain parts of that ball of energy, okay? So they said things like, can you sit still? Children are to be seen and not heard. It's not nice to kill your brother or even try to. So we had to hide. All this went into the black bag, right? This invisible black bag. And the part of us that our parents didn't like, and to keep our parents' love, right? We put parts of ourselves, we fragmented, we split off. We put parts of ourselves in that bag, right? So they said, good children don't get angry over little things. So we take our anger, we put it in the bag. By the time my brother and I were 12 in Madison, Minnesota, we were known as the nice Bly boys, right? I always talk about the compliant ones. Our bags were already a mile long, he says. Then we have a lot of bag stuffing in high school. This time is no longer the evil grown-ups that pressure us, but people our own age. So the students' paranoia about grown-ups can be misplaced. I lied all through high school automatically to try to be more like the basketball players. Any part of myself that was a little slow went into the bag. My sons are going through the process now. I watched my daughters who are older experience it. I notice with dismay how much they put into the bag, right? But there was nothing their mother or I could do about it. Only my daughters seemed to make their decision on the issue of fashion and collective ideas of beauty, and they stuffed as much damage from the other girls as they could in the bag. So it's very interesting. That's a great metaphor, right? For the shadow. We want to open the bag up. We want to experience the bag. We want the bag back. So everything, your potential is in the bag, right? Your potential is hidden from you. And we aren't conscious of what we are truly capable of, our innate strengths, our drive, our discipline, our talents, our courage, our creativity. So Carl Jung said the gold is in the dark. And there's another Jungian author, called Robert Johnson. And he calls our untapped potential inner gold. Okay, he calls it our inner gold. And he says that inner gold is the highest value in the human psyche. It is our soul, the self, the innermost part of our being. It is us at our best at 24 karat gold. It's our 24 karat gold gift to ourselves, he says. Everyone has an inner gold. It isn't created, but it does have to be discovered. Isn't that beautiful? So inner gold is just another term we could use for our light or our positive shadow, our light shadow. In his book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships, David Rico explains that to integrate the positive shadow is to acknowledge our own untapped potential behind the awe we have for others, okay? We begin to acknowledge and to release from within ourselves the very talents and qualities we admire in others. So, all through the years that my children were growing up and they were very young, I used to watch Oprah. I loved Oprah. And I especially loved when she started talking about the soul and the spirit. I'll never forget, I almost had a heart attack when I found out that Eckhart Tolle was doing A New Earth. Like she was doing that series with him. I had already read the book. I already knew about the book. Like I almost had a breakdown. It was one of the happiest days of my life. But I admired her. And what I admired the most about her was she was real. She was a real person. She didn't hide aspects of herself. She came clean. She wore her heart on her sleeve. And the audience, they were her friends. They became her friends. And I loved that about her. So we have to realize everything we admire in someone else, we also have in us. We have that quality.